Remember back in high school, that quiet kid in the class who never raised his hand?
There's always outsiders in every high school, but I felt like I was on the outside of the outsiders.
And how about that coworker of yours who hardly speaks at meetings?
If they ask my opinion on something, I just, I get very frightened.
We've all known people like this before, and we've all suffered through our own share of shyness.
Do you brush your teeth every day?
But for some people, shyness goes way beyond what you could ever imagine. This documentary will take you on a journey into the world of people who suffer from social anxiety disorder, the third most common mental disorder in our country after depression and substance abuse. What does it feel like to suffer from this disorder?
It's a feeling of terror, like a life-and-death situation.
There's another aspect.
How does it affect families?
It's a chemical situation that has affected just about all 11 aunts and uncles of mine, and it's now come down to second and third generations.
What causes it?
We've recognized the disorder. We've described it. We understand something about the biology, a lot about how common it is in the population.
And how can you get help?
If somebody does have social anxiety disorder, they should know that there is very effective treatment, and treatment that's very safe and well tolerated.
I want to be confident. I want to be outgoing. I want to have a lot of friends. I'd like to move up in my career. I really think I have a lot to offer. I just have to get past this awful fear.
One of the things that strikes me is that there's all this lost potential in a group of people who tend to be our most sensitive and often our most caring. So it's like those are the people we need to get out.
When I get up on a Monday morning, I get up and I have my coffee, but I'm already getting nervous. I procrastinate. I spend a lot of time doing stuff around the house. I know I have to be there, but I try to prolong being home in my little comfort zone as long as I can. As I'm driving to work, I can feel the anxiety building. My stomach starts to get sick. And I start to sweat. By the time I get into work, driving up that driveway, I'm pretty much a mess. Going up the stairs, walking down the hall, I'm just dreading every moment of the day.
Social anxiety disorder is one of 6 main kinds of anxiety disorder that we now recognize in psychiatry and psychology. It's actually the most common. It's also known as social phobia.
Social anxiety disorder affects millions of people worldwide. It causes someone like Pam to feel intense anxiety in almost any social situation.
If I get one wrong look from someone, I'm immediately going to think that I'm an absolute idiot and we're going to have to leave.
People with social anxiety disorder become very overly sensitive about what other people are thinking about them. Interestingly, they'll often come in the office and say, I'm paranoid, but they're not paranoid at all. What it is they have tremendous interpersonal sensitivity. So every time they're around other people, they think that people are judging them because they think they're actually doing bad.
Looking stupid, looking incompetent, being inarticulate, having people criticize them, even if it's not verbalized. The idea that people are judging you and criticizing you potentially or negatively evaluating you is a huge fear for these people.
There's a range of severity, so people who have it to a more moderate degree can function but with enormous effort and pain. They maybe can work, but they'll do something that's below their capabilities rather than have to interact a lot with other people. It's very hard to have friends. It's very hard to form an intimate relationship. It's very hard to socialize.
For some people, the disorder manifests itself only in performance situations, but for others, it permeates every aspect of their lives.
In the extreme, people become extremely isolated. They don't work. They end up on disability or being supported by their families.
They'd be afraid to use public restrooms. They become afraid to eat in restaurants because they're afraid people may be watching them and they may spill their food or choke. We've seen people who are afraid to endorse a check in front of the teller because while the teller is watching, their hand starts to shake.
Well, the checkout line is the worst, of course, and then other than that, you know, first going into the store, it's like I know it's not happening, but it's like all eyes turn, see who's coming in, and you know, and then walking around and then looking at stuff, you know, it's like I always feel like I'm, you know, under a spotlight.
James lives at home with his parents and hasn't worked in 4 years. Just being out of his house for longer than an hour is sometimes more than James can bear. Social anxiety disorder has taken over his life.
I felt a lot of times like just like a freak, you know, just because of this. I mean, how can you be so actually afraid of other people? I mean, I've never heard of that